research is actually part of the Real Water program, and the university we work for, the University of Technology Sydney here in Australia, are doing this research on behalf of the Aguirre Institute. And really, it's trying to get to the illuminate what are the drivers of piped rural water supply, but particularly to the household, and what are some of the governance factors and political drivers, and how is it actually progressing or not. And it spans a few countries. The three main countries are India, Ghana, and Zambia, because they're three countries that Real Water is focused on in the past. But we've also done sort of a mini study looking at Bhutan, Senegal, and Honduras. Those three just as outliers, because based on their GDP, you'd expect they might not do so well in piped household supplies, but actually they're doing disproportionately well. And so we just have some shorter studies on those to try and understand what's going on. So this is actually our first India discussion, because the original idea was to focus in Tamil Nadu, but the recent state elections have made it somewhat difficult getting different government people time, just because they have a what would you call it? A silent phase, I guess, of pre and post election. So we'll be doing probably some learning with you as we go, and we've done the other interviews for Ghana and Zambia, which have been great. And as I said, we're just about to dive into the India one. So we've got yourself, some representatives from water.org and from the Tamil Nadu Water Authority, and then also actually one more to finalize. So we'll go for an hour, or we'll try and keep under time, even in a bit less than that. But I might just hand over to you, and if you could just share a bit about your experience, both with I'm not sure how long you've been with USAID, but and particularly, I guess, relevant, to the topic focus, but rural water in general would be great to hear a bit about your expertise, and also what USAID is also doing in the sector as well. So I'll just hand it over to you, and then once we've heard from you, we might come back with some more targeted questions. Okay. Actually, I'll just hand over to Tim, if you had anything you wanted to add at the moment, or even just to say hello.
Yeah, hi Srini, very, very nice to meet you, and thank you for agreeing to have a chat. It's great to be able to have the opportunity to speak with you. And as Ian said, this is our first, I guess, foray into the issues relating to Jal Jeevan mission, and so really helpful to get your insights. And maybe the other thing to mention is so this project itself is part of a buy-in that Acquire had the opportunity to take on from one part of USAID, which is actually a different part of USAID to the overall Real Water program. And it sounds like you've met Kara, or you've spoken to Kara, so you probably have a bit of a sense of Real Water generally. But we're also part of the overall Real Water consortium with some work that's just about to kick off in Indonesia and be announced by USAID at World Water Forum next week. So we've got a few different interactions with the Real Water program and USAID, and this is one of them. So thank you very much for agreeing to have a chat today.
Yeah. Yes. Nice. Yep.
Yeah. Over to you, Srini. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind just giving us just an idea of your background, and personally, and also what USAID's work in the sector. That'd be great, just for a few minutes before we come back with some questions.
So so my name is Srinivasan, or shortly Srini. Basically, so I support the WASH lead for the India USAID WASH program. So I'm based in Delhi. We work with the bilateral agreement. So there is a bilateral agreement between the USAID, US government, and the Indian government. Through this bilateral agreement, we support the ministry in its water and sanitation program. And majority this support is only software support, not hardware. Any construction is not involved. It's basically like technical assistance where we have a team of people who support the local government in policies, programs, monitorings, and research, capacity building. So it's only a technical assistance. So this started in 2015, and this will be going up to 2026. That is the end of the phase two of the Swachh Bharat mission program. So and also the primarily we support the Ministry of Urban here, because majority of the focus is in urban areas. But at the same time, we also through various projects like this real water, which focus on rural water. So we have projects which focus on the rural water sanitation also. For example, we had a 6-year program which is called as the Women and Water Alliance. So this program focused on the rural water sanitation, and so there we focused on 2 3 states like Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. So this is how we go. Yeah.
That's great. And just curious, when you were saying you work with local, is it mainly at a national level that you're working? I know you mentioned you have some state-based.
We work in 3 levels. One is the national level. We have a team in the ministry, and then we work in the state level through state support team, and also in the next lower level is the district or in the urban local body level. So it is in a
Mm,
3 level support through which
mm,
uh, we work with the government. Yeah.
mm. And besides the 3 states that you mentioned, is there other states that you have been involved in terms of rural water? It's fine if not, but just in terms of where
No,
you
for
can
example,
consider.
in urban, we work on the different states. Like in urban programs, we cover states like the Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, and
Mm,
Assam and Jharkhand.
mm, mm,
But again, it is a district-wide approach where the rural areas, peri-urban areas are also covered in the water sanitation supply. But in the rural,
mm,
we had these 2 states where we piloted. In the states of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, where we
mm,
have these kind of projects there. Yeah.
mm. That's great. Could you maybe just elaborate a little bit? They might be ones, a good ones to focus on the projects in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
the
Okay. So the project name was called as the Women and Water Alliance. This is actually a 6-year project. So the partner was water.org as was one of the partner, and WaterAid was a major partner, which here. And actually it is the project was run by the managed by the Gap Inc., the apparel company. So it is a
mm,
partnership with the private company. So
huh,
basically, to our aim is to engage the private sector also in water and sanitation sector. Mostly that's why they focused on 2 areas like Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, where the cotton growing areas, because they get most of the raw material from those areas, and the cotton is highly water consuming product. So they basically they would like to work on the cotton growing farmers, addressing the water management issues. At the same time, working with the women in the communities, enabling them to access for drinking water and sanitation facilities. And
mm,
yeah, that was the basic design of the program. Yeah.
that's great. And have yourself or USAID had any interface with the Jal Javeen mission?
Yeah, during that project, actually, we worked basically with. We had some introduction meeting with Mr. Parmeshwaran, our secretary at that time. But basically, we worked with the district level teams, because the most
Mm,
of the state level teams, because most of the projects are in the district level. So we work with the state rural water supply and sanitation department, and basically, and we went further down to the village level. Basically,
mm,
the partner implementing partner was the WaterAid. So they worked on development of the village level water safety and security planning plans.
Mm. Mm.
So these plans, they have this kind of they formed village level committees, and the village level committees, and which develop the village level plan, and where they do a mapping exercise along with the women's group to identify
Mm.
the requirement of number of bore wells, bore wells, and those kind of things, sanitation facilities. So
Mm.
our job is to facilitate the process to formation of the village water sanitation committees, and the formation of the village plans, and help them to
Mm.
get money from the central and the state government to implement them, and also build their capacity to monitor the program. So
Ah.
that is how we worked here. Yeah. Yeah.
And in those, I mean, maybe a specific question about that one is: was there sounded like boreholes or wells were part of it? Were they? Was it a point source, or was there piped water scheme? Yeah, was there piped water
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
the households? Yep. Yep.
Okay, so I'll explain. So initially, most previously, that the program were like hand pumps, so hand pumps and other
Mm.
things. But in this program, they adopted different methodology. The government came with a different methodology. They went for overhead tanks, and
Mm.
they are the multi village source. Sometimes the source
Uh-huh.
was an open well, or a bore well, or sometimes a surface water also, and
Mm.
they have tanks, overhead tanks, and through the water supply was through the overhead tanks. So basically,
Mm.
the PhD, Public Health Engineering Department, actually they made the infrastructure like the overhead tanks, bore wells, or surface water source, and they also put the pipeline. And they hand over it to the village committees, and village
Mm.
committees, they managed the water supply, and also they did the chlorination, and then the maintenance, and they decided a water tariff, monthly water tariff, which they collected from the households. So
Mm.
basically, the hardware support was from the government, and the operation and maintenance was from the village committees. So that was the model
Mm.
they adopted then. Yeah.
Mm. Interesting. So yeah, I'm curious if you've noticed, just stepping back a bit, and noticed a change in um, USAID's approach in how it addresses rural household water supply. You know, considering the government has had this push through Jal Jeevan mission for
Yeah.
household, household level supplies rather than
Yeah.
um, communal point sources. Yeah, have you seen a similar approach in how USAID approaches your own projects as well in regards to that?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, in the past, they went for those kind of hand pumps and other things, which we found. But now, under the SDG goal, the main object, what the government set himself a target by 2026, they are going to provide all the household connections. So they have set themselves a
Mm.
target. So
Mm.
before the program started, I think the total pipe water coverage in India was only 26% or something, but now it has
Mm.
increased. The government claims it has increased more, but actually we don't know the exact figures because there is no
Mm.
statistics available. Normally, actually, we refer to the census data and those kind of things which are not released. So we
Mm.
depend upon some of the surveys, like the surveys done by UNICEF, or surveys done by like NHFS surveys, and those surveys only, which also
Mm.
shows there is a drastic improved in coverage, but
Mm.
not may not be up to the level what the government is claiming, but it should. That is a but many of the surveys shows that there is UNICEF, and other surveys shows that there is an increased in both water and sanitation service level. Yeah.
Uh, and I mean that's it's a big change. I guess for India to adopt from a policy level. What have you observed? What is there anything interesting, I guess, to share? How you've seen how government, the government bureaucrats, etc., have been able to adapt to that policy change and deliver on it, I guess, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, so it was like previously there was no coordination. Actually, something like,
Mm,
for example, they made toilets. So, for example, they would say like, let's make 50 toilets or make say 20 hand pumps. So, suppose that is how a district collector is the decision making authority, or district collector,
mm,
or district magistrate. So,
mm,
they roughly it's a top down approach. So they say that okay, we'll make 100 borewells and 100 toilets, something like that. So when they get sanctioned for say 50 toilets and 50 hand pumps, only sanctioned, and also they get the money in the end of the year. So and they will just to utilize the money. It was that they used to put random hand pumps or random toilets, so which were not access to people and not used. So that was it,
mm,
and they show some utilization. That was how the general trend was. But
mm,
here they engaged with the community. Actually, there was a community engagement was there, and where the community were involved in the planning process. So in many of our project areas in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, the village committees they made plans and they went to the district authorities to fight for their right, and so it was like an and then many of the actually the management was also given to the communities itself. So it was
mm,
very model where the engagement of communities were there, and so we found it to be successful. Also in the one
mm,
of the state like uh, mm, so in one of the state like Orissa, where also we will work, they adopted a model called drink from tap model. Okay,
mm,
so in the drink from tap model, again, so the government made the infrastructure again, but they gave the operation maintenance to the local women's group.
mm,
So the local women group actually they collected the revenues from the household, and they also did the water quality monitoring, and they so complaint redressal mechanisms. So there was an engagement. So the Orissa they called as a drink from tap model, where
mm,
water was drinkable at household level. Like they did in something two or two districts they have done.
mm,
So there are some different kind of approaches also. Uh,
mm.
yeah.
And have you noticed any, because I guess you were saying that USAID has a capacity development role in the software side. I'm just curious how capacity development might have changed over the period of Jal Javeen. Have new issues emerged that you've had to address, or has there been? And I guess I imagine everyone's got a lot busier because the
Mhm.
things are getting scaling up through it. Yeah, just curious from a government capacity level, at a national level, at a state level, how they've been able to adapt or not to the mandate, I guess, for the household supplies.
Yeah, actually, so our role, as I said, was it was only the capacity building. Actually, so we
Mm,
focused on the key resource centers. Actually,
mm,
so for example, in the state of Kerala, we have a key resource center like Kerala urban local body. So Kila, urban local authority, something like that. So they have their own training institutes. So
mm,
one, so where they trained not only government engineers but also counselors, and so small village leaders also on the government water and sanitation program. So there
mm,
actually but these centers lack technical capacities, modules. So we
mm,
used those centers, and our people, like our implementing partner, trained them through the
mm,
centers, train the key stakeholders. So we did not invest much there. So we used the strengthen the existing systems.
mm,
Like for example, Orissa, they have the Orissa Urban Academy, where it has a very good training facility. So we used those kind of facilities, and build the capacity of those center for excellence to reach out to the communities, because now You can see in many states, the Center for Excellence are continuing the process actually.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh,
and also
good. And
we
go,
yeah, yeah.
please. Please continue. Yep.
I know, actually, so other since we worked in the center also, we helped the government in drafting the policies like the Amrut program, which is the water supply program and sanitation policies program also, and help them, the state and district authorities in having a convergence approach in a district level, like the fecal sludge management plans, policies, and
Mm.
those kind of things we supported. Yeah.
Mm. Um, so the shift, I guess, to this the focus on pipe supply through Geljabin and the changes in policies and et cetera, et cetera. Like, do you have any comments? Like, has that been a positive outcome, I guess, for for both government and for households, I guess, or has it come with some
Yeah,
challenges as
yeah,
well?
yeah. It was a very positive thing actually. But one thing what we saw was there was a convergence of the urban and rural programs. For example,
Mm.
so the rural programs, no, they have soak pits and septic tanks. So, but they
Mm.
don't have the fecal sludge treatment plants. So,
Mm.
but they have land. So the urban
Mm.
centers used those lands for construction of the treatment plants, like fecal sludge treatment plants. So where
Mm.
the rural communities also dumped their fecal waste, and later on the treated sludge was used as a manure by the rural areas. So because in the urban areas land was a major issue, so there was a convergence which also we able to see over a period of time, convergence of rural and urban programs, and where the facilities were shared, resources
Mm.
were shared among the two ministries, because
Mm.
the common goal, they have a common goal. And so that is one change also we were able to see. Yeah.
Mm. Has that translated also to water supply, the rural sorry,
Water, see, water supply is somewhat very complicated actually. So most of the
mm.
cities they don't have water because they have over exploited the water. The water level have
Mm.
gone down, and they are sucking the water from the rural areas. So, for example,
Mm.
all the cities like Delhi, its water is getting from a dam, and all like Bangalore, it's getting from a dam, and
Yeah.
Chennai, they are getting from a dam or a lake, which is a rural water source, what is meant for
Mm.
irrigation purpose. So there is a conflict in the case of water, where we have find the farmers protest also, because the urban centers are taking up their water, which is meant for their irrigation purpose. So there are a lot of breaking of pipelines. So there is a conflict in the water sector between the
Mm.
urban and rural areas, because the urban, they have totally mismanaged the water.
Mm.
They have polluted all the rivers, the water bodies and lakes. They have disappeared, they have encroached. So we are seeing increasing urban flooding, and so
Mm.
now they are going moving away and getting the water from the rural areas, which is creating a
Mm.
conflict. So there is a huge mismanagement that has
Mm.
already happened. Yeah, yeah.
Does that have implications for rural household water supply? I know it's got implications for agriculture, but in terms of domestic water use, yeah, what are some of the spillover effects of that?
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, that is there. Effect
mm.
is there, but again, in the rural areas, we are finding some major problems in terms of the water quality. Water quality is
Mm.
like we have the arsenic in very West Bengal areas, and we have fluorides in Rajasthan and Gujarat, and iron in Orissa, salinity, and also hardness. So I think the water quality is a major issue because there is no treatment facilities in the rural areas actually. So
Mm.
because the water is mostly the is treated, only chlorination is majorly done. Otherwise, because the urban centers only have the modern water treatment plants facilities where the
Mm.
water is treated and distributed through. But in the rural areas, it's only chlorination is happening, but not the major like fluorides or nitrates or arsenic. There is not much. There are pilot plants like fluoride removal plants, iron removal plants, but they are not in scale. So in the rural areas, actually, the quality is the major concern. Yeah.
Is that do you know how Jal Javeen mission is addressing that? Like in terms of what are there mandates being made for, people like Tamil Nadu Water Authority around water
Yeah, yeah.
quality, or how is that being addressed? Um, with that?
So, uh, so in the case of the what in the case of water quality, what they have done is so they in the rural programs Jal Jeevan Mission. So one good thing is they have a district level labs. So where the water quality is continuously monitored there, and also they have shifted from the groundwater to the surface water. And so because and mostly they are avoiding the usage of groundwater in the contaminated areas, and mostly they are going for the this kind of surface water by which they are able to manage the supply.
So the
Yeah.
quality is mainly getting managed through source selection. Is
Yeah,
that
some mixing
correct? Yep.
mixing of water and yeah, but there is no real treatment. But as I said, there are pilots. Some pilots are there, but also some of them have put some organizations. They have put some RO plants also where the water is sold also to
Okay.
communities. Sometimes in the
Huh.
like Andhra and Punjab where the water quality is bad. There are companies or NGOs who have put the water treatment plant, and the water is sold there, sold at an affordable cost. They have put
Mm.
some RO plant, but it is not in a scale. But
Mm.
they are in a pilot level, not in a scale. Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
great. Thank you. I'll just hit pause and just see, Tim, if you've got anything you wanted to uh, put in or ask at the moment before we continue
Um,
for Tim.
yeah.
Yep.
Actually, yeah. Another issue is the like not in water, but the sanitation workers also. It's one of the issue because now we are finding many of the septic tanks are full, and the cleaning of septic tanks is issue of the and which
Mm.
is resulting the death of many sanitation workers because they are not trained to go into the septic tank, and so that is also one of our focus area of USAid, how to how to promote safe sanitation workspace for the sanitation workers, like the protection gears, like insurance, health facilities for them to reduce the sanitation workers deaths, which is a major challenge which we are coming out with some new programs and policies and training the sanitation workers, licensing them, and also preventing making it as a mechanical instead of a manual. Currently most of them are manual cleaning is happening. How we can be a mechanized way of cleaning to prevent the death, that's a major focus
Mm.
which we are having now. And in the case of water, what our team is doing is currently they are supporting the government in preparing the water balance plan. So the water balance plan they have draft prepared for, it's an online plan. They are preparing it for the cities, basically to understand the water demand, supply,
Mm.
and gap, and how the water can be met, and how majorly promoting the reuse of water, wastewater, how the water can be treated and used for industrial purpose so that they can generate revenue, and also promoting rejuvenation of urban water bodies. So they are helping the urban local bodies to draft the plans, and so that water balance plan, so that they can manage the water through various traditional and non-traditional sources. Yeah. And we also promote like a safe water network is one of an activity where we USAID promotes the water ATMs and water kiosks, where they what we partner with the local government and also the communities and private companies, US based companies, to establish the water treatment plants where the water is sold to the affordable prices to the local communities. These are called as the water ATMs. There are around 50,000 water ATMs that are managed in India. So many of them are managed by the women entrepreneurs also. So that is one of our intervention also. Yeah, water chaos
Great.
type. Yeah.
Thank you. Tim, did you have anything you wanted to ask at this point?
Um, uh, I have one question, but you may be coming to this, Anne, so I don't want to jump ahead. I guess it's around the underlying drivers or politics behind this ambitious goal that Jal Jeevan represents. But Ian, if you're going to get to that, I won't ask that now.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, one is the government want to improve the coverage, and also they are seeing this kind of programs brings a lot of goodwill also. Suppose, for example, providing water to households actually reduces the burden of women, and also it brings some goodwill for the government. So that's why they are promoting also. And another thing which we also in our two areas which I like, since you mentioned water.org also, so we also partnered with them in the two districts, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, where they were the women groups. They had bank accounts. The SHG groups, we helped them to have bank accounts and linked with the local finance institutes, so they are able to get credits also. Credit for like the government gives a basic money for toilets, but through credits they also made some bathrooms, and they also purchased water filters, and to help them move up in the ladder. So the credit financing also worked well through the support of water.org. So in this activity we are able to mobilize more than 2 million worth of USD loans, credits, small credits to the women groups also. So there is a willingness among people also to invest, to invest in the sector from the communities also. Otherwise, previously they were all looking at government subsidies. Now they also like to take loans to improve their water and sanitation status, which is a good change which we have seen over a period of time. Yeah.
So, Srini, can I just ask? I mean, one of the interesting things about India, based on what you've just said there as well, is that you said sort of the goodwill, and it presumably that sort of what has allowed or led to Jal Jeevan is a view that providing people with piped water in rural areas and household connections is something that people want and is politically a good thing, and so therefore it's been prioritised with significant amounts of investment from the government. Whereas in other countries, we've interviewed, like in Zambia and Ghana, rural water is not really seen as a politically important issue, and therefore the government have invested in other things like health and education instead. So, am I right in saying that? Interpreting your comments as being reflective of the fact that water supply in rural areas is seen as a really politically important issue for the government?
Yeah, yeah, they find it politically important because unlike in other countries, here the government is pumping lot of money. So the previously what they used to do is the money goes from the center to the state government, and to the local body and to the family. So, but here what the government have done is they opened bank accounts for women especially, and women's and family aids. So the money directly goes from the center to a individual person bank accounts. So, so when a person receives money for toilet construction or any other purpose, so it makes them happy, and also the government also it's winning lot of goodwill by putting lot of money. They are able to get a lot of goodwill. That's a major reason, and also they claim it as a major achievement in all the forums. Even in the election campaign, also they say it as one of the major agenda that we provided you toilet and we provide you with water. So they are saying, both the prime minister and they also say in the parliament, which is a good thing actually. So it become an agenda, actually mainstreamed the sector. Previously, it was not like that. It was seen as a risk, and as I said, it was not in a priority area. But since Prime Minister himself spoke about it, and he also they even the election one of achievements also they count. They say that we have provided water to so many households, we provided to toilets to so many households. So they say that one. So they considered it as a key achievement. Yeah, they also speak about airports, number of airports they speak, but also they speak about the toilets also. So which is also earning the goodwill from the community also. Something visible is happening. Yeah.
I might just dovetail on that. Interesting, you were talking about transfers to households for toilets. Is something similar happening for household water connections? Because my
Yes,
understanding
yes,
was
yes,
that,
yes. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yep,
Yeah, all
yep,
like yeah, in household also for the connection charges and those kind of things also they are encouraged for the connection charges. Some of the states have they made the connection charges free of cost also. They are saying
mm,
that there is no connection charges, but you have to they pay the water tariff.
mm,
So they are adopting. They're considering as, for example, in the Orissa they have used the women's as the water collection as a
mm,
water for water issues, like where the women goes to each households, they collect the water tariff, and they get 7% of the income as revenue as their salary. So it also creates jobs for the women. So again it actually turns into vote actually goodwill
mm.
among the community. So they are saying it as a key entry uh, to the community. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
I might circle back at the beginning. You're talking about the multi-village scheme that USAID
Yeah.
was part of. Have you seen much difference between the single village and the multiple village schemes? Like, pros and cons of either of those?
Uh, yeah, actually, see, in the multi-village scheme, actually the source is common. It can be a dam or something where through a
Mm,
pipeline water is brought to a common source, like a surface water. Suppose if the village, like in places like say West Bengal and those areas where the arsenic is a major pollution, so they bring water from the distant surface water source and they bring into a common point overhead tanks. From there the water is distributed to multiple villages through pipeline. So this is affected in areas where the surface water groundwater is in issues. So they go for a distant surface water, and through multi village the water is supplied. Otherwise in some we have seen majority of the villages, they have the bore wells and overhead tanks, and the water is supplied to overhead tanks. So they
mm,
are adopting both. In some cases, like hill terrain, they are using the spring water also as one of the source. So depending
mm,
upon the situation, actually, it's not one particular model.
mm,
Changes the model changes. Yeah.
mm. So more determined by the water source, it sounds like,
Yeah.
than other
Yeah.
factors. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Other
great.
factors. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I'm just curious too around what observations you've seen around the sustainability of household type schemes versus point sources. Yeah, are you noticing any difference between those two in terms of how they're operated and maintained? Mm,
Yeah, see, sustainability, we have seen one of the reasons in hand pumps. We have seen some breakage of hand pumps or the fall in the water level, or sometimes it leads to the systems. But again, because the some engineer has to come from the center to repair the water source, so it was a problem. Now they have given the operation maintenance to the community, So the community were trained. So the plumbers were trained, and the valve operators they were trained, and treatment, chlorination, how to do the chlorination, water quality monitoring. So they were trained. The community people were trained under these programs. So that is leading to sustainability. But again, the major challenge is the so what we are seeing is like the floodings and also the drought-like situation in many states like Karnataka. In now they are facing a severe drought-like situation, which is not faced previously. So many of the borewells have gone dry, and so those kind of situations are it's beyond the program actually, which is happening like in the state of where there is a failure of the monsoon, and there is a drought-like situation in many of the states. So there it is a challenge actually. So how they go, mostly they say it's due to the climate change. So there, which is somewhat new, like how to make the climate resilient water infrastructures, which can withstand cyclones, which can withstand flooding or drought-like situation. That is somewhat a challenging area for the country, because we are facing this more frequently nowadays. But those issues are not actually thought about. So it will be a challenge in the coming years, as you said, regarding sustainability also. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
And what about so we have the source sustainability issues, and do you notice anything, I guess, between say a rural village that's supplied by a point source? I imagine that my understanding is operation maintenance is done by the water committee versus a rural village who have pipe suppliers to each household. Yeah, are there differences in the operation and maintenance landscape
Yeah.
challenges in those circumstances that you could elaborate on?
Yeah. Actually, there is a difference in there. Like in the like if it is an like mostly it was the PhD, the public health engineering department was a major agency which was in charge of the infrastructure as well as the operation and maintenance. So it became a huge challenge for the government also. But as you said, since the government has trained the local communities also, SAG women's group in and youth also in the water supply, rural water supply sector, and to some extent the operation management part is addressed. But again, if some of the major issues like pump failure or any fall in the water level or those kind of major technical problem, they are again going back to the parent agency, that is the PhD public engineer, to address those issues. So that dependence is there, but day-to-day operations, somehow the major design of the program was that the local community should take care of the operation maintenance.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
That's great. Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not, that covered the questions I had. Tim, did you have anything?
Yeah, but I might just jump in with I guess your views, Srini, on how Jal Jeevan is rolling out differently across different states. Do you see any difference in the progress and achievements between the states? And are there any clear things in your view as to why some states are doing things quite quickly and very well, and other states might be lagging behind?
Yeah, actually, it varies between the states. Some of the states are very progressive, and the implementation level and also the quality is good. In many states, we find it is not that much. It's very slow progress, and also challenges are also there. So it depends due to various reasons, security reasons also, and also. And also some of the tribal areas and the hilly regions, which are the where we find a lot of challenges, like hilly terrains, where we find a lot of landslides in Himalayan regions. Many of these areas we find a major challenge there in the water source, and also the desert regions like Rajasthan, where also the water is very scarce. there are certain challenges. Some states, like the southern states, especially, they have a good system in place. They have a good rural water systems and very strong. For example, states like Kerala, where you have a very strong urban local administration units. So where the local bodies, they take care everything from the water billing and everything. So once when those kind of administration units are not strong, then we have this kind of problem. Some states like West Bengal and Bihar, Jharkhand, to some extent, these local bodies are not that much strengthened. They are weak actually. There, the implementation is slow, and the quality is also sustainability, and those issues are there. But some of the traditional states, southern states, we find it's not an issue. Where there is a system in place, and it is okay. Somehow it's and they are managing it well. Yeah. So it varies from state to state, as in short. Yeah.
Thanks, Srini.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I would like to, I will share, find out this impact we did on the rural water program also, the water supply program. There is an impact evaluation also done. So I will share that impact evaluation report also, third party report. So that also shows some good numbers also, how the water supply and hygiene behavior has been changed because of the program, community participation, women's participation. So I think that can be a good source of information also.
Be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Um,
Well, yeah,
and
we
maybe, I
might-
mean, just to jump into Ian with it, and apologies if you've already asked this over email, Ian, Srini, whether there's anyone you would recommend we speak with, within the sector, whether, from government, civil society.
So what are the, so you have spoken with WaterAid in this case? WaterAid you would have spoken with WaterAid?
Not yet, actually. Yeah, we got water.org.
Okay,
but
so
not
I will the
WaterAid.
country head, Mr. Madhavan is there. He is very knowledgeable person in the rural water supply. So he can give you the actual ground real situation, because they work very closely with the ground level there. So they can give you a ground situation there. And so that those link, and also I can I'll also find out some other links also, and then I'll share with you. It's not a problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And yeah, thanks so much for your time today, and just making yourself available on relatively short notice.
No
It was
problem.
really
No,
appreciated.
no,
Yeah,
no
and for
problem.
being so generous here and just sharing your experience as well. It's great.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Yeah, thanks so much,
Srini.
Srini.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.